Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ghost Stories in Folklore.
Well, hello there, parapeeps. Kind of tricked you a little bit. This is not a Ghost Stories in Folklore. Well, yeah, it is. Got my buddy Boris right here. He's actually the narrator for Ghost Stories in Folklore. And I thought in this video, I'm going to show you a little bit behind the scenes on how we put those together. Because we get a lot of comments that say, oh man, I bet you that took a long time and all that other stuff like that. Yeah, it does take some time to put them together. But if this can help somebody out there on how you can actually make some videos from photographs, because most of what is in those videos are photographs, and I just make them move, maybe it'll be helpful for some people. Okay, so the first thing I do is I look through all of our photos and see what we have for the location that is being featured on the Ghost Stories and Folklore for that week. Once I find out the media and the different footage and stuff, then the next thing I got to do is I bring up the location on panicd.com and I look up what we have as far as paranormal claims or stories and folklore. Now this is where the research part actually begins, and I delve into it a little bit deeper. I look out there on the internet to see if there's any other reports, any more history, things like that. And I actually have started, probably since number 2 or 3, writing the script from scratch. Now that process normally takes almost a whole day. And I want to make sure that I have enough for about 4 or 5 different typed pages that could be read for the narration. Now the next step of the process is, once the script is written, is actually to record the narration. Now I started using the voice of Boris. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Ghost Stories and Folklore, for different reasons. Okay? And if you're watching this video, you're finding out why. Reason number 1, it's a little creepy. Boris is reading that. Puts a little bit of creep onto the video, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty cool. But for another reason, I have a condition where it's hard for me to read right from the paper slow enough that my brain and my mouth keep up with each other. Normally by profession, I read volumes of web pages and books and things like that for work and all the research and everything I have. And over the years, I developed the ability for speed reading. And actually to slow down and narrate, I stumble my words sometime and things like that. So that accent that I use kind of hides some of that stumbling. And it kind of just sounds like it's an accent where I'm actually stumbling those words. So that's actually why I actually decided to go with the accent. And for the third reason, I wanted to have a video or a project that I could do myself without bothering Mary Ann. So she actually does have some input on these things when I ask her questions, do you remember this, remember that? But the narration part of it, I actually do that narration. If you catch some of our other videos, you notice that Mary Ann does the narration of like our historical videos and stuff, because she's awesome at it. She could just go through and not stumble, and she knows how to stop and makes editing quite easier. Me, when I was just reading it with my regular voice, it just didn't work. So I needed some sort of cover, and that's where the voice of Boris came from. So after I'm done reading the narration, I have to go in and I have to edit it and clean it up a little bit, cut out some of the pauses and the ums and those things like that. And then I will take that narration, and that's the basis of the video. So I take that track and I bring it into the video editor. And at this point, I want to find some sort of creepy music that gets laid over top of the narration. So we use a service called Epic Sound that we subscribe to. And this has made a tremendous change to these videos. Just that's the soundtrack alone just adds that extra element to that. So I'll find something that'll go well with the narration, and I'll download that, bring those in. Sometimes I'll download like maybe 2 or 3 different ones, and I'll put them together to make certain things that pop out in that video a little bit better, some sound effects and things like that. So now once I have the sound for the video, now's the time to start bringing in the visual. Now, in most cases, and I've said this a lot in our other videos, most of what we have is just pictures. So I needed to have a way to tell a story visually through pictures, and just to put the pictures up and have the narration of it. It could be done. There's no problems with that, but that's not what I was going for. I want to be able to visually see the story as it's being told to them, or told to you, the viewer. So I'll take, and I use a program called Corel Visual Studio for this, because it has built-in transitions and things like that, where I could just bring in these pictures and just right-click on them and tell them to auto transition and auto move, that type of thing. And then I could go in and fix them so that, say there's a picture that's portrait, I don't want the black on the sides. I'll just zoom in, make a move, that kind of thing. So that's how visually those pictures just come to life. Now I'll also use some stuff that I find on the internet, especially since some of these locations are dated back 1800s, early 1900s, things like that. I'll get some stock video footage, maybe like the one we did for the Queen Mary, and some of the other ones where this is actually stock news footage, and just kind of blend those old videos in with the pictures. Just kind of adds a little pop to it. Now when it comes to the part where we're talking about the actual paranormal claims, this is where it really gets super creepy and deep. So there's some YouTube channels out there where you can download green screen animations or green screen movies of different ghosts and spirits and things like that. And sometimes I'll look for those and put those in there, kind of give it a pop. And we're actually going to start working on making our own. Marianne's actually going to be my ghost and dressed up. We're going to make our own green screen stuff for these in the future, so I'll have a catalog that I could pull from. So now once I do the first pass through and get all the visuals and timed everything right with the audio, sound effects, if there's extra sound effects, like if you listen to some of these real close, you'll hear like whispers or screams or things like that. Once I get everything done, I try to leave it sit. It's just like writing a paper or writing a book or something like that. You just go through and you do it and you leave it sit. So that you come back to it and watch it again, and maybe you could change this or add this or things like that, just to kind of give it that extra little touch before it's finally done and rendered. And then basically that's it. I make sure I have the intro, outro on it, render it, upload it, and then every Tuesday you see the new ghost stories and folklore. So that's how we do it. Boris, my buddy Boris, and myself, that's actually how we make the ghost stories and folklore every week when we feature a new location on Panic D Videos. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. And we'll see you next time. Happy hunting.
If you like this episode of Ghost Stories and Folklore, be sure to hit the like button. And if you would like more videos from Panic D Videos in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications. If you dare.